guys and girls, and welcome to episode 64 of the FReality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show that's live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. If you missed the show, you can catch up with the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. Maybe if you want to leave us a message sometime on Anchor, we could maybe play that back on the show. That would be super neat. We're looking forward to trying it out for the first time. So please download Anchor and try and leave us a message. We'd really appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, please put them in the chat. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can. So I'm back on track, back on the show. Had a little break last weekend. Thank you very much for holding up the podcast for me, guys. You did a sterling job. Nathy as a temporary anchor. And to say thank you, I thought I'd fly all the way over to visit him and say thank you in person.
No problem.
So for our audio listeners, you won't know this, but I'm actually sitting in Nathy's Smeagol cave right now.
Yeah.
We're here together. So
how does it smell?
It smells fresh.
It does?
Because we've been
Really?
working in this all day. But yeah, so that is a good reason to go and check out the video, the live stream, so you can see our beautiful faces and us being together. So maybe check us out sometime. You can join in the conversation live as well. But anyway, I digress. Let me introduce you to the team. First up, he's got an ace up his sleeve always. He's the poker VR star. It is, of course, Zimtok5. How you doing, man? You all right?
Hey, I'm great. Given we just spent a podcast length getting this all working, I'm glad
Yes.
it's finally working. And
Yes.
the magic of the internet may still continue.
Exactly. And I should actually mention, of course, that this episode of the podcast is not live. This is pre-recorded. So this is, in fact, midnight on a random weekday where we're all like half dead and zombified. But we're going to push through and deliver the freshest VR news for you anyway, because that's dedication and that's what we do. The sacrifices we make.
I like
So-
Zombie Mike. We should invite him back another podcast.
It's either like zombie or hysteria. Like, what do they call it?
Hysterical?
I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. I can't even talk myself. Perpetuous.
Repetitious.
Yeah. So anyway, let's move on. So this guy, he's either scooting or he's tooting. It's the rowdy man, the rowdy guy. How are you, man? You all right?
I'm all right. Just like Sim, I'm a little bit zombified, but everything to make VR news, right?
Yes. The grind. The grind is real.
Grind. It's where it's all at.
Yeah.
That's where. Actually, talking about the grind.
Uh-oh. Oh, congrats.
Hey!
Yeah.
like
Big round of applause to Rowdy showing off his flexing, flexing with his new 100K YouTuber plaque, which is super sweet,
Yeah.
by the way. Where are you going to hang it
Super
up?
nice.
Where are you going to put it? In the toilet?
I don't
or
know
are you
yet.
gonna put it in your
I mean,
office?
I recently painted this entire wall, and I don't think my girlfriend is gonna love it if I'm gonna start putting nails in there already. So we're probably gonna do it someday when she's like asleep or something.
What I want you to do is actually like cable tie it to the front of your scooter, so everywhere you scoot, everyone knows that you're a big YouTuber.
Just hang it around my neck, like bling bling. Like.
Gold chain, right? I have
That'd be hilarious.
to say, Rowdy.
You just park it up and you're like, yeah, do you know who I am?
When Rowdy reached down, given all the work you've been doing in your house, right? When you reached down, I was half expecting you to pull up a grinder and start sparks flying. Like I was a little disappointed when the YouTube plaque came out, but congratulations, dude. I know you've earned
Yeah,
it.
congrats, man.
Thanks, man.
Congrats. It's an awesome milestone. So in the chat, we will be participating with the chat live. So show your appreciation with some high fives and some round of applause in the chat. I'm sure Rowdy will really appreciate it.
Yeah. of
So
course.
next up is my current roommate and temporary host of the show from last week. It's, of course, Nathy. He's sitting right next to me, which is super weird. And the weirdest thing is I can actually hear you guys clearer than I can hear this guy sitting right next to me because we're both wearing headphones. It's like the most awkward silent disco ever.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
weird.
It is.
Also,
But
you have a play button too, right?
I have I have one that I made myself. I had a cardboard one that I made for 10 subscribers, which I was incredibly proud of. And then I made a bronze one, which I 3D printed and spray painted for 10K.
Nice.
Yeah.
You did a really nice job on doing that, like, because you made a video on that. How I think there are other people now watching this video trying to do the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
like why not? Like
Exactly.
pretty cool.
Yeah. I just needed to make my own motivation. You know.
I feel
At
lied
10
to.
Subscribers.
I thought that was legit, Mike. You did such a good job. I literally thought that was a real plaque. This is what.
I wish it was.
Actually, you should just stop doing YouTube and start selling those YouTube play buttons. You probably make more money anyway.
You're right. I would make more money. You're totally right. That's true. That's true. So that is the team. Last but by no means least, myself, Mike, host of the show from Virtual Reality Oasis. In today's episode, we've got a really interesting show for you all. We're going to be talking about lots of hardware, and I know a lot of you really enjoy these episodes when we talk about the hardware. So we're going to be talking about the Samsung Odyssey Plus. We actually got hands-on with the device, so we're going to be talking about how it compares to the original Samsung Odyssey. Then we're going to be talking about the Pimax 8K, because we also got our hands on that device as well. So that's going to be super interesting, because we've been talking about the Pimax for such a long time now. And then finally, we're going to be talking about the big daddy of VR, the beast, and that is the Star VR 1, which is...
It's actually funny because I saw that you guys tweeted like a picture with like all of the headsets like laid out. Maybe Zims should look that up so we can show it later on in like a browser or something.
Yeah.
That's actually neat that you got like so many headsets when you like combine your forces all together and you see all those things like laying out. There is a ton of hardware out there already, so it's pretty neat.
Absolutely. But we posted it online and we got roasted because we didn't have a Magic Leap and we didn't have
An X-Towel.
an X-Towel or a Star VR, and we're like, yeah, well, sorry, you know.
Yeah.
Losers.
Yeah. Call yourself like real VR enthusiast. You don't even have a Star VR.
You know the sad thing, Mike? When you look at that picture, that's what a Star VR is going to cost you. All those other headsets.
You're probably
right?
right.
Yeah.
You're probably right. I'd love someone to do the maths on that, like work out how much that all costs, you know, relative to when it was released. That would be super interesting. But you're right. It probably would cost about the same price as this Star VR. But we'll delve deeper into the prices and the specs later on. So first off, let's find out what everyone's been playing this week. And it's kind of been a short week for you guys because it wasn't that long ago you were delivering this podcast anyway. But I wonder if you managed to squeeze something in. So let's hang it over to Zim and see what you've been playing.
I did manage to revisit an old classic on a new platform. So I did get to play Beat Saber on PSVR. So
Okay.
that was the one new title I got to play. And then I'm still working my way through Astrobot. And I'm playing a feck ton of Assetto Corsa at the moment. Racing is back into my genetics, and I can't get enough of it. So every like spare moment when I'm not doing something creative or looking after my kids, I'm racing.
And just for clarification, because you're like the go-to sim racer out of us all, is that the OG version of Assetto, not this Competizione version?
You almost got Competizione does actually have VR support, and it's kind of going through this like tiered process of slowly getting more content. And I do mean slowly. Like you get a car and a track for an additional tenner added to the price. Like, I mean, a car and a track. Like, they've got, I think, 2 tracks and 2 cars or something like that out at the moment. So it's pretty bare bones. I haven't actually gone into it because what they did so well with Assetto, and I won't go into much detail now, but what they did so well with Assetto is they made a game like Skyrim, right? They made a game that is so ultra moddable. You can customize the cars, you can get custom tracks, you can get skins for things, you can ride a what's the craziest, a lawnmower. You can literally race around multiplayer on lawnmowers if you want. Ice cream machines, Zambonis, all that stuff if you want, right?
Yeah.
But with the new game, it's incredible. It's just so locked down. Like, I run a bunch of servers on Assetto, and I love running servers and like, you know, hosting a community and like getting that vibe of their feedback and then tuning and tweaking and making it better. Like back in the day, like hosting a Counter-Strike or a Day Defeat server, you had some like pride in that. If like people wanted to come to your home and like, you know, play the game in your little like digital world and all that. And it's the same thing, but like Competizione, there's no server support, there's no mod support. Any DLC is going to be paid for, and I think honestly they've kind of crushed it. But changing the engine obviously makes the game look a lot better. They can do nighttime, they can do rain, and all that kind of stuff. So those are nice. Yeah. But if you only want to race like what's called GT3 cars, then it's a good game for you. So those are like, you know, track racing and stuff. But if you wanted to do anything else like old school cars, like I like racing some like really old stuff from like the 40s, 60s, that kind of thing. there's nothing there for you. Absolutely zero.
Or lawnmowers.
Yeah, classic lawnmowers.
It's like really, really siloed. But going back to the point I was making, Beat Saber is fantastic. From the second I had the saber in my hand, I could tell performance was going to be solid, and it's amazing that even at a close distance, like I've got it set up downstairs, it works very well. I think that they're doing some magic with it to guess where your motions are going, because I think there's a little bit of an assist on some of the swings that are actually outside the PSVR camera. And the result is a really smooth motion. I know you guys got to play with that as well. I think you guys were having a party midday while Zim was at work.
It's interesting because I was going to talk about Beat Saber as well, so I might as well talk about it now before we dive deep into what everyone else has been playing. But yeah, I was really surprised as well, just like you, at how polished it was. But it did feel like the expert mode was easier on PSVR for me than the PCVR version because of that assist.
Yep.
So I almost felt like I had a bit of an edge. Because even the brand new tracks that are exclusive to the PSVR version, and there's like 5 of them, I believe, I was able to play them almost on expert straight away without much trouble, So I was kind of surprised about that.
But the disappearing arrows, man, feck that. Feck that disappearing arrows stuff where...
is that one of the modifiers?
Yeah, so the modifiers in the game, if you haven't experienced it yet, like in the campaign mode, which is great, really, really fun. The only unfortunate part is you start off in easy, and if you're a hardcore Beat Saber player and you're forced to play through the easy levels, it feels a little bit like you just plugged the training wheels back on and you're forced to, do that before you can get back on a proper cycle again. But they have arrows that disappear, so you have to cue in your brain, down swipe, left swipe, and all that, and then they fade out as it's coming towards you. Wow. So by the time the block is at you, it's an aimless block. You don't know. You have to rely on memory.
That's interesting.
Tough.
Yeah, because they don't have that in the PCVR version, right? These modifiers are new to the PSVR version, and the same with the single player campaign, like you mentioned. Yeah. You kind of start and you have to unlock the tracks and move up with a sort of branching path of different tracks that you can choose, right?
Yeah, that's
kind
really
of an interesting concept for the game, and I think it works pretty well, actually.
The one thing that maybe you guys can tell me what changed, right? The game feels so comparable to the PC version. PC players, I'm sure, will be itching to do that campaign mode because it's just fun. It's just fun to kind of. It's like a Mortal Kombat tier, like trying to beat up the tier that way. Something changed with the sabers. This is the first thing I noticed. Yes. Something changed with the sabers. They look different, and I can't figure out what it was. I haven't done a comparison. I'm kind of trying to troll my brain to just kind of figure it out that way. But do you know what changed? So
they look like swords. They look like really slim swords rather than just a light beam saber. Yeah. It's kind of weird, but I was kind of what? This doesn't look right to me as well. So yeah, it's interesting you picked up on the same thing. But what I was really surprised about was how well these move controllers actually perform, because weirdly enough, this was the first time I've ever actually used them. This is the first time I've ever had hands-on with the moves. Yeah.
What did you think, Mike? Please tell me what you thought, because I used to be so against them, and then I'm for them. I'm really curious what your thoughts are on the move.
So I was impressed with Beat Saber. I haven't tried them in any other game, so please bear that in mind. But I was impressed, and the haptic feedback was very good, and it was comparable to when you use the Vive, because the Vive haptic feedback when you play Beat Saber is also very good. So that was really cool that translated really well. And I think if you're a PSVR owner out there, this is just like a must-buy, in my opinion. You have to have this in your life.
It's also the perfect game for the PlayStation Move controllers. Other games, when it's not forward-facing, then you're gonna have more trouble. Mm-hmm. But with Beat Saber, because everything is forward-facing, you always almost always have the camera tracking the controllers. So
absolutely,
not a lot of problems.
And if I was Sony right now, I'd be packaging these up with Beat Saber, because if you've bought the Astrobot and Moss bundle, for example, this is the best thing that you would buy next, is the pair of moves with Beat Saber bundled in, and have that amazing experience.
And you know why it works so well as a package, right? 2 things. Show that you've got one there. Show the actual shape of the move controller, because it's shapely like a woman's body, right? But it means that it doesn't want to slip out of your hand. Unlike the Vive, which is shaped like a projectile that wants to exit and fly to monitor. So I love that about these. Even the touch controls are actually quite slippery and actually have a more angular want to leave your hand view. Whereas you guys can see with those, they're concave, and so they actually want to stay in your hand.
Anything that you should take from this podcast is that Zim is very happy that his PlayStation Move controllers look like women.
Yeah. It's lonely downstairs.
But one thing we should mention before we move on to what the other guys have played, and still on the topic of Beat Saber, is that I know that the PCVR community was really upset because they're missing out on these 5 exclusive tracks for PSVR. But there is news recently from the developers that they're actually making some DLC packs. These DLC packs are going to contain maybe 10 tracks each and be like a staged release, and then be around $9.99 each. So overall, you can get like these 30 new tracks for $30 over the next few months, I'd imagine. And it kind of makes sense because I've seen from Twitter that they've been recruiting a lot of people from the community that make up the custom tracks. So they've been recruiting all the best track editors and then getting them on board to make these track packs for them, which totally makes sense, really. So that's kind of
got such a huge community. Like the first time when I was streaming it, people were like, "What? You can't do mod tracks?" And like seeing that news, I mean, it's just so obvious. Like any other music game has come out with DLC content packs, and it has been a huge success. And you're supporting a game that's already very popular, that is actually not that expensive of a game. Like it was £24 for me to buy, right? And I think anytime you've got that balance of like, here's a game that you want to put money towards, and they're giving you ways of supporting them. I think that's a really positive cycle. Because
do you think it would be popular since you can get so many popular songs? Custom tracks
on PSVR,
to like rather unknown songs that are like specifically made for it.
Well, I think you made a valid point there, but I think Zim countered it straight away, and it's like PSVR will be where the biggest market is, and that's of course where the biggest VR market is anyway. So really, it doesn't matter if the PCVR audience just makes custom tracks and doesn't buy them. I'm sure some people will, but the biggest market, of course, will be on the PSVR for those.
So the DLCs will also be will not only be for PC, but will also be for PlayStation.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% sure of that.
Exactly, I would have no hesitation in saying that that's it. I must say that this is a great podcast, if just because Nathy's there nodding and smiling away at Mike, and there's just something magical about that. So if you're an audio listener, you need to check this out on video. I'm not joking.
Yeah, just to see the awe in Nathy's eyes, like, wow. This is how you host a podcast.
Literally, sensei. Sensei Mike.
Exactly. But yeah, like obviously the Beat Saber developers have got like a music producer as part of their team, like Yaroslav Beck. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. He's actually a music producer himself, part of the dev team. So
you can hear that in the songs that he made as well, because they're that's why brilliant for Beat Saber.
Yeah, for sure. But also, while we're talking about Beat Saber, I also want to mention the big golden ticket hunt that was on over the last couple of weeks. And I don't know if they've all been found now. And I don't know if you're aware of this, Sim, but basically the Beat Saber mod Discord community were celebrating 100,000 members on their Discord for modding Beat Saber.
Holy cow.
And to celebrate, they teamed up to make a plugin for the actual PC VR game through Steam. It wasn't available for the Oculus version, but basically it modded the game. So every time you played a track in the game, it gave you a chance of winning a golden ticket, like a Willy Wonka golden ticket. Brilliant. And then if you won one, it actually set off a load of fireworks at the end of the game that you played and said, you've won a golden ticket. And then those golden tickets then go into a raffle. And I think there's 20 of them in total. And then there were prizes for Beat Saber merch, like official merch, Vive Pros. I think there was 2 Vive Pros, loads of other gear. So it was like a super cool competition.
It would be hilarious if the guy who would like won it was like someone in like one of those arcades who has like never played the games. Like, oh great, like golden ticket.
Yeah.
And gave it like golden tickets like gone.
But it was really cool. Like some streamers, of course, because Beat Saber is super popular for streamers, they were showing them winning these golden tickets, and they were really like cool moments of their stream. Everyone was going crazy because they won. So yeah, I think it was a super cool competition from the Beat Saber modding community. So hats off to them as well.
One other Beat Saber piece, Mike, before we move on. The thing that I've seen all over the internet be like people tuning into streams and stuff like that is like there's 5 new songs. And what did you think of the new songs? I'm curious.
There's one that I really, really love, and I can't remember the name of it now, but it's something like "Let's Play Beat Saber." I think the lyrics go, but it's totally badass, and I love that track. And we're actually planning to record some more of that tomorrow. Actually,
there's also a pirates one. It also sounds like
pirate
super,
one. Yes,
awesome.
So if you love lightsabers and pirates, you're going to be in your element.
Like I think what they're doing is they're quite different. Those tracks are kind of like a new they're like a new field. Like you've expanded into a new field, and I kind of feel like it's kind of getting us ready for the DLC. It's kind of like these are the kinds of things. Like it's going to be a little bit different to the Yaroslav's original.
It's a taster for the swashbuckling pirate DLC.
I would buy that.
That's not actually confirmed. That's fake news. Sorry. Okay, so let's move on then. Let's find out what Rowdy's been playing in VR this week.
Yeah, I haven't actually had the time to really like play like a lot of games. I've been doing a lot of work, but I've dove back into like some undead development. And when I was playing that game, I kind of felt the feeling, but I haven't had the time yet to go back into Star Shelter. And that is like one of the games that I don't know if like all of you actually played it, but I know that Zim did and Nate did as well. I don't know if you played it, Mike, but that's still one of those games that really left an impression on me and that really, really like felt like they're onto something, doing something really, really right. If you don't know what it is, it's basically sort of like, I always say like it reminds me of like Subnautica, but then in space. Because you also like need to scavenge, you need to go around, you have no idea what actually really happened. There's not a real storyline attached to it. You need to build your base. There's meteorites coming, there's aliens coming, robots, all that kind of stuff. You need to explore and find goods and everything. But it's just that the way that the game is structured, it works so well. You know, you have your oxygen that you need to manage, your food, your water, you know, your energy levels. That's all. You all need to manage those kind of things. And I just love games like that. And I think up to this point, of that genre in games, Star Shelter does it like the best out of all of the virtual reality games that I've played. I don't really count Subnautica as a virtual reality game. I know that it is good. I tried it, but it's still like it's not really like as much immersive as I would like it to be.
Wow, Zim's about to burst. His head's about to explode.
It's only one of my top VR titles. It's okay, Rowdy. I'll find some way to assassinate you eventually.
But it's fun. But I still really miss my hands in that game, and that is something that Star Shelter does have. So if there are people out there that really like Subnautica, I would really give Star Shelter a chance. For the game mechanics, it's just brilliant. It doesn't look visually as beautiful as the Subnautica, of course, but that's also because I think it's made even by one guy who's working on it. Maybe he has some more people on there now because they made some serious updates on that game, and it's actually improved a lot since the last time that I played it. So I am going to jump back into that game just because I really want to.
So they're still working on the game?
Yeah, they are. Because he sent me an email not that long ago that they actually were planning on like making another big update. So yeah, they're still working on the game.
Maybe they should work together with Beat Saber.
Star Saber.
So like with the game, is it available on Oculus Home or is it just on Steam VR right now?
I do not know. It's been a very long time, but I can look that up.
I think it's just Steam.
Called Star Shelter.
Star Shelter.
Yeah.
I showed a quick clip of it there. One thing I wanted to mention, because you mentioned hands, Rowdy. Just in the last week, the Mother VR guy added hand controller support to Alien Isolation.
Oh, nice.
It's huge news.
Okay.
That's been coming like 2 years in the making. So
have you tried it yet, Zim?
No, it's on my to-do list this week.
Yeah, I can see like the excitement in your face.
So excited.
Hand controller support in what way?
You have full touch controller interaction with everything.
You can now pet your
It's motion tracked.
You can stroke its little head and it'll like just lie down and purr.
So you can hold like the flamethrower and like the scanner, and you can really.
That's what I understand. I will explore for science.
Okay.
Well, we look forward to that. So I'm interested in your thoughts on Star Shelter if you've played it, Zim, to compare it, because I know how much you love Subnautica.
I probably wouldn't put the two in the same spot. I would say that Star Shelter felt a lot like. There's a whole bunch of, and I won't remember all the names, there's a whole bunch of different like starship simulator games that look quite indie, like low poly, but where you have like a multiplayer team or whatever. This is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, Roddy, I think it's single player only.
Yeah.
But one of the things is like once you get to the outer space part, because you're indoors for a while, you then have to kind of collect pieces to help build out your base and survive and manage the points that Rowdy had mentioned. So it was like,
But you're not outside for a long time though, like because
No.
as soon as you like pull the handle, like because that's like one of the I had a really freaky moment when I did that because you're in a little cabin. It feels a little bit claustrophobic.
it's claustrophobic.
You pull the handle, it lets go, and all you see is like space around you, and then you see like your ship that is completely broken down. It's like floating a bit in the distance. It's a very freaky moment for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Actually, I'm kind of liking what you're saying there.
Try it.
But this is the thing when we talk about games on the show. I'm like, right, that's another one I need to add to the list.
I checked. It's not on the Oculus Store, but it is available for Oculus Rift on Steam and also for Windows Mixed Reality. And you can apparently play it seated, standing, and room scale.
Okay, cool. Nice one. Okay, well, let's find out what my little Frisian friend here has been playing this week.
Well, I haven't played that much. So I also played Beat Saber. I mean, it's impressive. It's really fun. And the songs are great. I agree. And we played Cover together on the Oculus Go.
Yes.
That was like the main reason you pretty much like came here, right?
Well,
Like,
yeah, and then someone told us that we could play it over the internet, and I'm like, well, why did I bother getting on a plane?
Because you love prop planes, Mike. That's why.
Yeah, apparently so. They're my favorite.
So Covert is basically a game where one person is a spy or a thief, and the other one is a hacker. So the person who's a hacker has like a mobile phone, a mobile device, and has a map on there, like a blueprint of like the level, and needs to guide like the one in VR through the level by activating doors, by shutting down traps, doing like trying to sneak you past certain like points, and it's really fun. It's really cool. Yeah,
it is, and like it's exclusive right now on the Oculus Go.
Yeah.
I would imagine it would be really smart of the devs to port it to Quest with full controller support. That would be super nice. But yeah, we had a lot of fun with it, and I think it's one of those games that is ideal party game. You know, a bit like Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. You have like a few people around, you have a few drinks, you play a game like this. It's just so much fun, and especially now with the screencasting feature with the Go, now people can really understand what you're seeing if they had that on another mobile device, as well as someone with the mobile phone having the blueprint. So that would be super interesting as well, having a little like heist party. But yeah, we had a lot of fun.
This is another game that you should actually only purchase if you have a friend that does virtual reality as well.
Well, not necessarily, because you could play it with your wife or your girlfriend, because they don't have to be in VR. All they just do is like look at the blueprints and guide you.
Plus the app is free.
And the app is free as
So
well.
you just need to buy the game.
That's nice. That's smart. That's smart.
And the interesting thing, like I said, as long as you, because it works on a code-based system, so the person in VR gets given a code, and they could give that to anyone on the internet. And as long as you had a way to communicate, like through Discord or something, you could actually play the game completely remotely, online, basically.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun, especially some really intense moments, and you can see exactly on the blueprint where the player in VR is actually facing. So you know that they're facing in the right direction, and you're like, okay, there's guards around the corner. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to going back and playing some more whilst we're here together this week.
Weird question for you guys. Do you know of any VR game that would suit if you had a friend who was visually impaired, someone who's blind who wouldn't play in VR, where they have a secondary role to the main player, so that instead of a visual like a tablet, there's something sonically that they can guide you with? Do you know of any game like that? I'm not aware of any at the moment.
That would be really interesting. Yeah, that would be really interesting, but I don't think so, because most of like the games that work like that need some sort of visual element. Like Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes needs the bomb manual, and you need to be able to read that very quickly, so that wouldn't work.
Well, there's
Same
things
with this
like
as well.
there's games like there's mobile games that exist that are Sonic only, like Papa Sangre, which is a horror game.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think they could do it, and I would just urge developers to maybe think about that audience.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. Really interesting for sure, especially for a virtual reality headset that's so reliant on your eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be interesting.
Someone's
I don't
university
really know if
project
someone
for
who's
VR
visually
should do that.
Yeah, someone outside VR that assists the VR player.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, I don't think that anyone who's visually impaired has considered buying a virtual reality headset yet at this point.
No. But yeah, it's like someone that could assist the VR player would be super interesting. But yeah, Covert is definitely worth checking out. I think if you're on an Oculus Go and you've got someone to play with, then yeah, definitely worth the ticket price for sure. So that's what we've been playing, really. We're looking forward to playing some more this week. But let's jump into some quick news then. And we've got some interesting news this week. First off, we're going to start off with some Oculus Black Friday deals, because when this podcast goes live, like all these Black Friday deals will be going off crazy, and like everyone will be just like throwing their money at their screens. But you've got this one to look forward to, and that's from the 22nd, which is actually today as we're recording this now, up until the 26th, which is just after Black Friday. You will be able to pick up an Oculus Go for $179 US. Like, that is an incredible price for that headset.
Yeah.
Like
that's,
at that price,
that's got to be the 32 gig, right?
Yeah, that's of course the 32 gig.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at buying a VR headset for a family or a friend for Christmas, then scoop up this deal now. Yeah.
And the thing I would say about it is, you can like thinking over the holidays, you like to connect with family. Like, say you're already into VR, you can get someone like your mom, your cousin, whoever you like to stay in touch with, into a headset relatively easy. Just bear in mind they need to be conversant with a mobile device, because it does need an Android or an iOS to latch onto.
Yeah. But also, I would say for when you've got family over at Christmas, it's like one of those perfect things to just really just blow everyone's minds and have a lot of fun, like showing them like dinosaurs in VR, and then maybe keep talking and nobody explodes is a great way to get the family all like crazy, like having fun together. So yeah, it's kind of like for $179, I just think that's a freaking awesome price. It's amazing. Yeah, but if you really want to go and step it up to the next level, of course you could go and sink your money into a Rift, and that's $349. Obviously with the sensors and the touch controllers bundled in, and you probably get some free games as well, like Dead and Buried still, and Robo Recall as well.
Is this like the Marvel Powers United bundle?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
It's a casual one.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about Marvel Powers United very shortly, actually. So good little segue potentially.
Are they still like bundling with any like PCs as well?
There are PC manufacturers that still bundle with Rifts, and they state that their PCs are like VR ready. Like I think CyberPower and HP Omen and Dell, they all make VR ready PCs, and I think even Oculus have a few on their website that they really recommend. But I'm sure
Go on.
Yeah, but I'm sure if you're in the market for a VR headset right now, or any hardware or games, and you just want to save a bit of cash, then just wait till this weekend when this podcast is live, because everything's going to be on sale this weekend. It's going to be crazy.
But it's US only.
Well, no, this is actually worldwide. So these prices are the US prices. I'm not sure what the UK prices will be, because they're normally the exact copy of the US price, but in pounds. So maybe £179 for the Go and £349 for the Rift.
I think they said 10% discount. So
yeah, exactly. So
it'll just be 10% off. That's easy enough math. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, the Windows MR headsets are going to be discounted. If you can pick up an Odyssey, I would say now, if you're really on the fence about buying a headset, and I've been really critical about Windows MR in the past, but I've been converted by the Odyssey. So if you're looking for a cheaper VR headset and you want to dip your toe into the water but don't want to sink all your money into a Rift, then maybe save a little bit and have that ease of setup with the Odyssey, with the Windows MR. And we'll be talking more about that later, but I think it's a great headset. That is some Black Friday deals. So let's talk about Marvel Powers United, because...
One more second, the Steam sale is also up.
Oh yes, the Steam Autumn Sale just started as well, if you weren't aware of that, because we were setting the show up. So there's going to be loads of VR games on sale as well. But yeah, moving on to Marvel Powers United, they recently patched the game, and I don't know if you guys are even aware of the fact that they're still updating this game, because I don't know if anyone's still playing it, because I think everyone had the sort of like a blast of it and then kind of maybe finished it and then they were done with it.
I played it 2 weeks ago, Mike, for the first time.
You did?
I did.
And what did you think?
I thought it was absolute trash, and everyone should stay the feck away from it. I think the game looks totally enticing. And when you actually play it, I think most of the mechanics are... This doesn't feel good. The game doesn't feel good. It feels like you're locked into the character that you're playing in a way that's uncomfortable. In other words, they're not giving you the freedom that you would expect as a player. And a lot of the powers, the superpowers, like I played as Captain America, and his shield, the way it's literally just a point-and-shoot potato gun. is his shield. Like, you don't actually get to throw it and all that. It's literally just hold it here and then release and then let it come back to you. And like, it's just some of the mechanics in the game are just so poorly thought out.
Some of them are really good,
new people.
I didn't try all of them.
In VR. It's like a hub for people to come there to play a game together. But I played like when they patched it for the first time. I played it, but they were trying to really, make it more difficult, try to make these game modes more spicy. But in the end, they're still the same. It's the same game mode. There's only one game mode you can play.
Yeah.
So, and now they're trying to patch against that. But I have a feeling you can't really save it from what it is.
It's kind of a bit too late.
It should be an arcade game. Yeah. That's what it should be.
Yeah.
And the impression I had was actually that I thought that the superheroes were actually the thing that still kept the game upright. It was because I played, for example, as the Hulk, and I thought that he was actually pretty well done. I liked how the character was. You were much bigger than all the others. You had the classic phrases that he would say. You could use your crazy fists, and it was kind of fun to be playing as the Hulk. Yeah. But I haven't tried Captain America, so I did the beginning bit, and I was like, don't really care.
Well, you should ask Nate. You played as every single character pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is that they're still updating this game. But like you said, I think it's maybe a little bit too late. I do feel bad for the developers because, I heard some rumors that this wasn't necessarily their idea of how the game should have looked. And I think their initial concept of the game was basically like a Marvel Left 4 Dead, in that you progress through rooms and you progress to an end boss. But apparently, and this is just rumor and rumor alone, but it was Disney that really pushed the accessibility and the arcade feel of the game. And you can just see that, if they're really investing, into the game's development, and they're guiding its development as well, you can kind of understand that pressure maybe with such a huge IP with the Senzero, the studio that was developing it. So you can maybe see that in a way.
I just wish they'd address the AI. That's the main problem I have. What Rowdy's saying, I can totally get behind. The character models, the environments, the core way they've highlighted the special powers of each of the heroes are all solid components. There's a lot of good artwork in the game, and the sound design was fine. But when you have a base gameplay that is saturated with really not intelligent AI characters just flooding at you, in a very not fun, repeat format.
Repetitious
even. Totally repetitious.
It felt like a mobile game.
It felt like a mobile game, exactly. Yeah. It just felt
like a mobile.
Like there wasn't much thought put into it.
It felt like an arcade title. You want to play, you go to an arcade, you play it with your friends for 10 minutes. Oh, that was fun. But if you want to finish this game, it takes you 8-9 hours. You're playing the same game mode all the time. It's like a grinding fest, and it's not changing. All the maps are looking nice, but it's the same game mode in every map. It doesn't change. There is no.
It's like having a Lindt chocolate ball, but when you unwrap it, it's just a cat turd. That's basically looks shiny and nice on the outside, but on the inside, it's just shit.
I love
perfect comparison. That happened a lot to you, Mike.
Today
those pranks were savage.
But
let's talk about these updates anyway, because they are updating the game. They are trying, bless their hearts.
All right.
So they've added some new game modes, and this first one's called Planetary Assault, and there's new objective phases added into the mix that can appear on the map at any time. And then the AIM frigates are prepping their weapons for a planetary strike, and you have to work as a team to activate the powerful shield cannons teleported in by Lockjaw. So kind of the same thing, that things are teleporting in, you can activate them.
The same thing. The
Very
story
similar.
doesn't matter.
No. And then this is what's out now, and then there's one coming up soon, and this is called Nuke Defense. And again, these appear on any map. You have to work together to locate and deactivate deployed AIM nukes. So again, they just land in, you have to deactivate them. So a bit like the nodes you have to activate, you just have to deactivate something instead. So it doesn't really sound that much more varied, and I think it's still in the arenas, and I think that's probably one of the biggest problems with the game. It doesn't feel like you progress.
It might be because they built the game from scratch, and this is all it can pretty much do. Or could it be that Disney is still listen,
Who knows what's going on behind the scenes, and I could be wrong about that, but yeah, it's just a shame. But they're still patching it, so maybe if you're very new to VR and maybe you're going to pick up a Rift at Black Friday, especially if you've got kids and you're really into Marvel, I would maybe say check it out. Yeah. But it's just very repetitious, I would say.
Well, hats off for them still trying to make the best out of their own title, right?
Yes.
I mean,
So let's talk about another game that's getting really good developer support, and that is Firewall. I don't know if you've been playing this anymore, Zim, or if you kind of, jumped out of it now because everyone's just so good at the game.
I've been hiding. I want to play it, but I'm kind of scared to play it because everyone who plays Firewall is so much better now. Like, so much better.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool that what they're doing is they're not adding this kind of like pay to win scenarios where you can get OP weapons or anything like that. It's all kind of cosmetic stuff. So they've added a new contractor, which is called Nash, who has got like a binary skill that allows double C4, which is kind of interesting. And then you've got new weapons, new skins, new camos. And also, if you're a PS Plus member, then you get a little skip trinket, which is like a little keyring in VR. Don't know what use that has.
They're bling. They're awesome. I had an F for FReality on my shotgun for ages. Remember I showed it to you, Mike, this little red tag?
Is that what you do? You hang them off your weapons?
Yeah, they just like clink off your weapon.
Oh, okay. That sounds way cooler.
Something else. It sounded kind of silly when you were
just like, hey, look, he's got a little key ring. Yeah. So apparently the prices for this DLC is $3.99 in US dollars for the new contractor, 99 cents for character skins, or you can buy them as a bundle for $2.99 each. So you get like bundles of character skins and camos and stuff. And yeah, like they say, the little trinket is free for PS Plus members. But they've also added some new weapons which are free for everyone to the game, and that is including an XMR-90, a G6 Commando, and a Spitfire. So if you're into your guns...
Spitfire? That's like a plane.
It is. World War II.
Is it a car as well?
Yeah, it is a car as well.
I actually am curious if that's like, is that a submachine gun? It sounds like it's like a UMP equivalent type machine gun. I don't actually know what a Spitfire is, but I wanted to say something about Firewall because when you see Firewall, I just ran a video of it. When you see Firewall, it looks relatively unimpressive. Like you look at it and go, nah, I'd pass, you know? Yeah. But I have to say, on the back of the experience that I had and that we had, Mike, it is the ideal like Rainbow Six-esque work with a squad of people, and the community was super warm and welcoming.
Yep.
A lot warmer than like say like an Onward community. And it was just bonding time. Like anytime I got online with that game, it was amazing. So I would just urge people, if you see it on a deal for like 20 quid or whatever with an aim gun, just do it.
Doubt.
Like it's no question. Just do it. Anytime this year.
I think the aim is a must though. The aim controller is a must.
Absolute must.
Because that really adds.
It's a shame I didn't get that experience.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is a shame for sure.
I found the Spitfire.
Oh. Nathy the gun nut is
no way.
Googling guns.
Really? No.
What is that?
No, this is what you put on a Spitfire plane.
Oh, okay.
I also have the actual.
More fake news, Nathy. There you go. There you go. So if you're watching,
this is Call of Duty, but
it's actually a rifle.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. So there you go. Audio listeners, sorry, but it just looks like a gun to me.
Yeah, it's like a gun.
It's got a dangerous end and a not so dangerous end. So let's move on then. Yeah, but totally, Firewall is a legit title, and if you own a PSVR again, I think it's one of those must-buy titles. But definitely, you need an aim controller to get the best out of it. I think.
And a Plus account. Yeah, that's very important.
Plus, your
as well.
Community manager is Uncle Frank.
Uncle Frank. In Frank we trust.
Yeah.
So next, I just want to touch on the disappointing fact that we didn't get a Half-Life 3 announced this week.
Yeah, you were waiting for that. You were tweeting about it.
I was like,
I'm waiting.
Yeah, I was like, where is it? Like, because if you're a PC gamer, no doubt at some point in your life you would have played Half-Life, and it originally released on the 19th of November, 1998. So this week, oh my god. I actually thought he had it tattooed on his chest there. But yeah, Zim has a Half-Life t-shirt underneath his...
Starting from his belly button, like...
underneath his fleece. I actually thought he had a Morgan Freeman tattoo on his stomach there for a second. I was like, oh my god, that's dedication. But yeah, I
love that car. That car is amazing. It's hard to steer, but it works.
Yeah. I love the fact that Half-Life t-shirt looks like Akira.
That's exactly it. So it's a Giddy T's t-shirt that is based off the Akira poster, and yeah.
Gunter for life.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, of course we were waiting, for the Half-Life 3 announcement, and this new Valve headset to be announced on the same date, and everyone was going to lose their minds. But unfortunately, the 19th came and went, and nothing happened.
if there's one thing that we've learned over the years from Valve is that Valve does not care about dates and certain numbers and certain tricks, and no, they don't. They release it whenever they want, and that might never be.
Yeah,
I told you.
He's an insider. He's one of them.
He's trying to spread fake news as well.
Yeah, exactly. But the one thing we did get, which is kind of interesting, and I am kind of excited about, which isn't VR related, but it's interesting, and that is because we did get an announcement for Black Mesa Zen. So the developers that made Black Mesa have been working on this update like ever since, pretty much, and they're going to be bringing out Zen, which is like this kind of standalone game which kind of carries on the story a little bit from the original game. So
which is a fan project, right?
It is a fan project, but it looks very polished. Like we've got the trailer, so we might be showing that now. In fact,
I think it's the part where you land on the, or like you end up in the
Zen
space part. Because the first part has already been remastered like 2-3 years ago, and this is like the second part that is coming.
Yeah. So it
mostly
doesn't look
because apparently like a lot of people felt like that it was like rushed. Those last levels about like that, it felt less polished than the rest of the game.
Yes.
So I guess that the fans tried to like step up the game a bit and deliver that polish.
I love it. Yeah.
I found the end of the original Half-Life to be incredibly difficult. Actually, having played through the full like campaign, when you get to the Zen bits, like especially with some of the bigger baddies that you fight, like it's not easy.
Difficult like that. I thought you were like difficult to, I just can't play this anymore. It's too difficult for me.
No, they were really challenging. I mean, it was kind of like, it was just really challenging. But this is coming out after quite a long time, and this has been in development, I don't know, 12 years or something. This is because I remember playing Black Mesa 6-7 years ago. Came on a PC Gamer disc or something like that when the first half aired. But I'm just wondering, like, is this this is just 2D news, right? This is not
of course,
VR
like
at
I
the
say,
moment.
we have no news to suggest that this is going to be VR
At
modded.
first,
but
when I saw the trailer, though, I thought it was VR because you could see the character like looking at his hands
exactly,
and like going like this, and I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think Rowdy watched a little bit too much Seeking Dawn trailers.
Yeah.
But there is another project ongoing. I don't know what status it's in, or if you guys have any other news on it. But I know that the Half-Life 2 VR team, who was working on that mod from early DK1, DK2 days, they were doing something, I thought, officially with Valve, or at least they were looking to release their VR update of Half-Life 2 at some point. I thought it was supposed to be this year, but I haven't heard.
And then they just went completely quiet. And that's why all these kind of rumors around like a VR version of Half-Life and Half-Life 3 kind of did tie in a little bit. But again, all we can do now is play Black Mesa Zen and pray. Maybe that'll tide us over.
I got a secret.
Go on. We've always known. Rowdy, tell us.
I was a part of that Half-Life VR group on Slack for like quite a while when they were still developing. But indeed, like when they went quiet, they kicked almost everyone out.
Yeah.
I got the secrets.
So I got
he is
kicked out.
linked to this whole thing. I knew it.
I am linked. I'm so into this.
He's still in the group.
He's
as
a mole.
one of the only ones.
He's a mole on the inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mole on the inside.
So unfortunately, we didn't get Half-Life 3 in VR, but we've got Black Mesa Zen to tide us over in the meantime for now. So let's talk about some game releases which are coming this week, and we've got a really cool one for PSVR. PSVR just seems to be killing it right now, like absolutely nailing it.
They have been since they've been released.
Wow, what a run up to Christmas they've had, and like really, if you own a PS4 at Christmas, you should have this on your like Christmas list for sure, because now you can play Space Pirate Trainer on the PSVR from next week, and it's like one of those epic games. Again, it's kind of one of those must-have titles. I think it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like.
One of the first wave shooters that were original.
But still one of the best, I think.
Done right.
Yeah, still one of the best.
Done right. That's exactly what I was going to say, Rowdy. So if you are listened for years to all this, don't play wave shooters because we've had enough and they suck, the one game that is excluded from that population is Space Pirate Trainer.
Yeah. It's even stronger than that. It's because Space Pirate Trainer was so good that it actually started the entire wave shooter genre on virtual reality.
Genre, yeah.
It's like everyone is making Beat Saber clones now. That's how good this game is.
Wave shooters.
It's interesting. I've got a funny Space Pirate Trainer story actually, because when we went to OC4, so that was a while ago now, over a year ago, I was grabbing a coffee and a lady was there and we just started talking. And she turned out to be Lemming's mum. So if you're in the competitive gaming scene, you'll know who Lemming is. He's like a competitive Echo Arena player, and he was playing competitively at OC4, and his mum was there like supporting him. So we got chatting like over a coffee, and she was telling me,
where's this story going, Mike? I need to stop you there, because there's only certain subjects we can cover on this podcast.
And she was telling me that she's a space pirate trainer, like pro, and she was actually ranked like in the top 5 players in the world at one point as space pirate trainer. I was like, wow, hats off to you. That is like so freaking awesome. You know, she was like totally committed to that game.
I think I met this lady. Wasn't she working with the EU or something?
No.
Or the UN or something?
No, yes, that's right. Yes, she was.
She was working for the UN as well. This lady was awesome.
Yeah. She was super cool. Super supportive of her son as well.
Another bit of news: Space Pirate Trainer is made by a Belgian dude.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, cool.
Dirk
Do
van
you know him as well, Rowdy?
Yeah, we saw him on OC5. He was drunk though, but he's a cool dude.
Okay, cool.
Probably on Duvel then.
Yeah.
Isn't Space Pirate Trainer also one of the first games where you can use a whip to kind of, grab the...
Yeah, they introduced that later on. That was part of an update.
Oh, yeah. Where they were transforming. You could, like, change the guns to, like, different modes and
the
things
guns
like
are
that.
so well done in that game.
Yes. So that's coming out on Tuesday, the 27th of November, if you've got a PSVR and you're looking forward to that one. And the other one I wanted to talk about that's coming out next week is Scraper First Strike. Now, I've seen a lot of stuff about this game in the background. We also met the dev OC5. He hung around with us for a little bit from Labradex Studios. But First Strike is kind of like a sci-fi first-person shooter that's going to be releasing on PCVR next week as like kind of the first act of 5. So it's kind of like an interesting concept that they're going to be releasing it in stages. And then it's going to be releasing on PSVR in December, around the 18th of December to be precise. But yeah, basically you've kind of got this city called New Austin, which is kind of a refuge for all these people that are kind of gathered together because the rest of the world is ravaged by war and disease. And it's kind of like a mega city with all these scrapers, and that's why they're called scrapers, like skyscrapers, basically. And basically the robots there, you have them as kind of like AI sidekicks, and they like look after you and do everything you need. And then apparently one of the most advanced AI witnesses some kind of human aggression towards the robot race that kind of turns the tides, and then the robots kind of start attacking the humans, and the shit starts getting real. So yeah, that's the kind of concept of the game. And from the trailer that we're playing, it kind of looks like you're in a mech or something. You kind of like got an armored suit or something like that, a bit like Diva from Overwatch almost. So yeah, it looks kind of interesting. I don't know how good the game is. None of us, I don't think, have played it.
Wait, so they're gonna release the first part, but they have more, but we don't know if they are ready to go already or if they still need to make them.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Hopefully it's not like 18 floors.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm probably going to check this one out at some point when I get home. So, we can give you our first impressions.
It's a single player. There's no multiplayer.
Single player, I think, from what I understand so far, yeah. But it's got like kind of RPG and exploration elements, and it's also got this like backdrop of a story. I don't know how strong that goes into it, but it's kind of one of those games. And out of all the games that are releasing next week, I thought this was kind of the most interesting one to talk about. So yeah, if you're interested in that one, that's coming out on the 21st of November.
I got to be Zim for a moment here. When I heard the term scrapers, I immediately thought of people who clean up after someone's committed suicide off of the top of a building. I'm sorry.
Wow. Yeah, like scrape them off the pavement.
Yeah, like crime scene cleaning is what I was expecting, but that's not what the game is.
My wife got
that also would be a very weird virtual reality game.
I would play that. There actually is a crime scene cleaning game. I remember there was like a holiday one where you were Santa, and you had to clean up.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking with, the little, and then you're a robot. Yeah.
Now I remember the name of the TV show that my wife was obsessed with for a little while. It was called How Clean Is Your Crime Scene?
Oh my lord.
Yeah, it was an actual TV show. Yeah, she loved it. I don't know why. But anyway, I digress. Let's
run.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm here. I'm on a retreat. So let's talk about some main topics then, and let's talk about some hardware, because we've been trying tons of hardware over the last 24 hours. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Voodoo, who is Voodoo DE. He's like a German YouTuber. He makes English content as well. He should make more, in fact. But he brought his Odyssey Plus with him, and he also brought the Pimax 8K and 5K Plus with him. And we got to test out a bunch of stuff together. So that was really fun. So shout out to Voodoo for bringing all the stuff and allowing us to try it out. It's a really cool dude.
Thank you.
Another quick thing I want to mention, actually, before we talk about the headsets, was a funny moment that we had with Voodoo with the B Haptics vest, because we were trying on loads of like accessories. And if you're not familiar with the B Haptics, they have like a haptic vest that Nathy has here.
So you had the vest on and you were doing each other's hair. Did I get that right?
Well, we were playing this experience, and it was made by B Haptics, and it's kind of like an experience where you get touched by a female character, and she touches you in different ways, and it rumbles on your vest in different areas. And like, it's actually developed by the people that made the vest, I believe. Yeah. So I don't know why, but it's super weird. It's obviously for a different audience, I think, than from us.
Then for you guys, sure. Yeah, it's definitely for
We have like the cover with the haptic, because I have covers where there's like haptic feedback inside, and also the wrists, and also the suit, and also on the back you could also feel. Like you could turn around and then you could also feel.
And the crotch.
They were constantly like poking you, like like, beep, beep.
And poking your face as well, which was super weird when you wear the haptic thing on your face.
You're like, oh, they're gonna touch my face, but then you also feel it.
Yeah. But it's funny, like Voodoo's reaction when this character was touching it was hilarious. I was in hysterics. So I just want to give a quick shout out to him about that. It was a funny moment. Anyway, I digress.
Do you have that on tape?
I think so. We have a video somewhere, I believe. Yes. Yeah. We might be able to show that at some point. But let's talk about the Samsung Odyssey Plus, because like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this really took me by surprise as like a legit headset that I would actually recommend, because you'll know if you follow the podcast or my channel that, I've never really been that admired by the sort of Windows MR platform. I had a Dell headset in the beginning, and it was really the early days of Windows MR, and they didn't have access to Steam, they didn't have built-in audio. The output mirror for Windows MR was really buggy and clunky and laggy. So there was a lot of problems, but it seems like they've resolved a lot of those issues since then. And I have to say it was a pretty decent experience, what we had with the Odyssey and the Odyssey Plus. But let's talk about the OG Odyssey, which Nathy is kindly showing here. It's got the same resolution as the Vive Pro, so it's really got a decent resolution. I still don't like the controllers, like they're Windows MR controllers. Yeah. So they've got a touchpad and a thumbstick. But the Samsung ones are slightly curved, so they're a bit more curvy in your hand, a bit like the moves. They feel nicer in your hands than the standard Windows MR controllers. It's super easy to set up. You just plug it in and you go. Obviously, with the original Odyssey, you still need a Bluetooth dongle, though, to communicate with the controllers, which is a little bit fiddly, but, for some reason they don't supply one in the box, so you still have to buy one. Which is a bit annoying. But the one thing that really took me by surprise with the original Odyssey is the nose flaps really pinch your nose. Yep. So it's actually almost difficult to breathe wearing the original one. So if you're going to buy an original one, I would just say cut those nose flaps out so you can breathe, because otherwise you're just going to collapse whilst playing.
I was so wondering that, because on their advertisements, they show, they're like, oh, and the nose place has been widened by 50 degrees or whatever it was, and I was like, why are they making such a big deal out of this? Was this a problem before? So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because you've answered a question for me.
Yeah,
I would love to see like one of the original trailers where like you have like the guy talking with like thing on it. It sounds like
we're just joking about
it. It's really one of the best headsets that you can get at the moment.
Yeah, it's one of the first things I noticed. Like I was playing Superhot for like 2 minutes. I was like, dude, I can't breathe out my nose.
What was the case? Another question for you, Mike. Yeah, sure. So this headset, I've heard it's pretty lightweight, but how does it compare weight-wise with other headsets, and also cable length? I'm interested in for the original Odyssey.
The original Odyssey is lightweight. It's comfortable enough. It's actually it's a comfortable headset to wear other than the nose thing. It's got like a leather sort of head strap here and on the back of your head. So it's got like kind of PSVR style head mount, but because it's like leatherette material, it kind of doesn't absorb sweat. But yeah, it's really comfortable, and the cable length is like what, 1.5 meters, something like that. 2 meters.
Does it like wobble on the head?
No, not anywhere near as bad as the Vive Pro does.
Okay.
So I like that.
And the headphones.
And the built-in audio was top-notch as well, so I really like that.
Okay.
So to compare it, so that was my kind of Odyssey experience. I was like, yeah, this is pretty decent. And then when I tried the Odyssey Plus, I was waiting to be wowed by this like anti-screen door effect. I have to say, like, I wasn't that impressed with the anti-screen door effect. It wasn't, for me, that noticeable. Like, you could see that it was reduced, but if you really, really looked for it, I could still see it in really light scenes and really dark scenes. So just like...
But isn't it because the technique they use is not really like, they're not increasing the resolution, but they're using some kind of like magic tricks to like make it look like it isn't there?
So they make the image slightly softer? Yeah, exactly. So for me, I wasn't that all enamored by this anti-screen door effect, marketing. But with that said, it's still a very good headset. Like I would still say it's a great headset. But for me, this marketing hype of like, you won't be able to see the screen door effect. If you're really looking for it, you can still see it.
It just feels like they kind of wanted to, the casual one. They wanted to kind of sell that until the stock is like, all the way gone. And now they don't want to have the Samsung Odyssey Plus as the new standard Samsung VR headset.
Yeah.
It's like like an upgraded version of it.
It is. But it's weird because they've also got some downsides as well, which they kind of lowered their standard over the original one, and I'll go into that now. Because the Odyssey Plus, one big bonus is that it has built-in Bluetooth in the headset, so you don't have to worry about a separate dongle anymore. The controllers connect directly to the headset, just like they do with the your Oculus Rift, for example. You never know that there's a connection there. You don't have to worry about it because it happens automatically, and it's the same thing with the Odyssey Plus, which is, I think, a big step forward. And I think every Windows MR headset from here on out should take that feature on board. Yes. But the one thing that did disappoint me was that whereas the original Odyssey had like a leatherette type material, like I said, on the head strap and the back, they've swapped it out for a breathable fabric material. So it's still comfortable, but now it soaks up sweat rather than just kind of streaming it off. But
being a wipeable surface. Yeah.
Of course, all these bits are removable, so you could just swap them out with like a VR cover if they made one, for example. But still, for me, I was just like, I preferred the leatherette of the original over the Odyssey Plus.
That makes sense.
But thankfully, I could breathe using the new one, so that was a big bonus. And it is actually slightly lighter. It's actually a slightly lighter headset.
Even lighter than this.
I'm sorry, guys.
I could wear this headset for longer than 2.5 minutes, so that was actually a big bonus.
Honestly, why I was laughing so hard is I just imagined them quoting Mike and putting it on like a product box, and it's saying, I could actually breathe with this headset. It's so good.
with one guy with like the Samsung Plus who looks regular, and then the other one who's wearing the original one, like completely blue.
Yeah, exactly. But the great thing is, like, this headset has been super cheap just recently. And I know it upset a lot of people because it originally released for like $499 US, and then like a week to 2 weeks later, it had this huge price drop of $200. So you could pick it up for $300 US during this like kind of Black Friday deal. People were losing their minds to the point where they were like, right, I'm going to return my one, wait for the sale and buy a new one, and then everyone waited till like midnight to for the store to open, and then they had like 5 available when the store opened, and then everyone lost their minds even more. And like, I hate Samsung, they're scum, because they had sold their headset to buy this new one at a cheaper price, and they were just out of stock immediately. But apparently now they are back in stock again, so you can buy them at the reduced price. And also, if you bought one from Microsoft directly, they will honor the difference.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of strange though. I saw Somatic Bruce tweet about that it's like so hidden. It's like under accessories or something.
Yeah, it is. It's not under VR headsets.
It doesn't have store. They don't have a VR part on their web shop.
No.
So is where it under?
Under VR accessories and under PC accessories.
PC accessories.
Yeah,
it's so strange.
Very strange.
But it makes it like a good deal for people that know where to find it. So less people are able to,
Yes. So
you heard it here first.
So what I would say is
FReality.
Yeah, in conclusion to the Odyssey in general, like I would say, if you're in the market for a Windows MR headset, you don't want to mess around with sensors. You just you're a real casual gamer. You just want to play every now and again, or you want to take it to a friend's house and plug it into their computer or their laptop, or take it with you on the go with a laptop, then this is the one I'd recommend. Like it's a really good headset, actually. I was very surprised. And especially when you compare like the Vive Pro visuals of this headset compared to the Vive Pro price, you could buy 2 of these for the price of a Vive Pro.
And it looks the same.
And it's more comfortable, I would say, than the Vive Pro for sure.
Yeah.
Sounds like I have to buy one for racing. Damn
I'm converted.
You, Mike.
But I would say to you, Zim, that just get whichever one you can get cheaper, or whichever features are more important to you.
I think the nose gap is going to be important to me. Just saying.
Cut it out.
Is it just plastic? It's not like...
it's just rubber. Yeah, you can just cut it out. So I would say that, if you're going to buy an OG one, just modify it yourself. Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, really surprised me about this Windows MR headset. Sort of converted me as a believer in their platform.
Quick question. I always use aftermarket audio because I care about my audio. The original headset, did the headphones come off?
Yes, I believe they're removable. Let me just check on this one.
That's Mike.
Yes, it's got a screwdriver hole in it.
Voodoo's watching and crying at the moment.
But this is the original OG one.
This is,
he wouldn't let us keep his Plus, unfortunately. But yeah, so that is the Odyssey. So yeah, I'm impressed with that one, actually. Really impressed. And it's a shame, really, because out of all the headsets I tried, it was the Odyssey that impressed me more than anything else. And of course, we're going to be talking now about the Pimax 8K. And I was super excited about the Pimax 8K because we've been talking about it like forever. And you know, I backed the 8K, and I'm probably going to convert it to the 5K Plus, so I can get that extra performance, even though I've got a 2080 Ti. Because I think the performance is more important than the visual clarity. Because apparently, according to Voodoo, the difference between the two headsets is very marginal. But in terms of like this whole thing that we've heard, like the hype around like the wide field of view is like the next big thing, you know, it's the most amazing thing ever. Like you couldn't go back to a standard headset after using a wide field of view headset. Quite frankly, I just wasn't that impressed. I was expecting more because the hype was so much that it just couldn't possibly live up to the expectation of that. And I was kind of like, I put it on and I was like, yeah, the wide field of view is super nice, but there are caveats to that are really big drawbacks that I don't know if many people are really highlighting. And that is that at the edges of your display, when you first wear this headset, you get real bad distortion of the image.
I called it like you're in a fishbowl in a way.
Like a fishbowl effect on the edges. And it's almost like you're exposed to motion sickness again for the first time. That's what it feels like, because your brain, again, is adjusting to this super high wide field of view that you've not really experienced
before. That's what we
said
in the beginning when it got first announced. That like, I mean, I still think that a bigger field of view is a step forward, is a huge step forward in terms of immersion. You know, if you feel like that you're completely in there, you don't see any black borders, that will be an added feature for immersion. I don't think it's the biggest step for immersion, but I think it is a bigger step than immersion than, for example, increased resolution. I think that is more important still, a bigger field of view. But indeed, like, how are they gonna convert that for every single game out there without, like, you know, distorting the image in a way that it fits in there? And that's not really a bigger field of view. That's just stretching the field of view over your lenses.
Yeah. And I would say, like, you know, from all the experiences we tried, and please bear in mind, you know, we only had a hands-on with it for like a few hours. You know, I really want to do some more in-depth testing when I finally get my unit, but for my first impressions, I would say that it was really great for cinematic experiences or watching movies or like content like that where you're seated or just static. That would be great. But for gaming, I really don't know if I'm
played like
sold.
Beat Saber, for example. That like Beat Saber's happening in front of you, so everything you get as an extra. It's like, why do I need it? But for sim racing and, you know, flying a spaceship stuff, like, yeah, the cinematic thing was like an eye opener for me. I was like, wow, I would love to have a Pimax to watch like animations like Henry and the Great Sea and stuff like that, because you can just see so much more of what's happening. And you're
when there's a lot of stuff happening around you as well.
Yeah, true. So that's why it's like it felt like a plus. Like, wow. Saber's happening in front of you, so everything you get as an extra is like, why do I need it? But for sim racing and flying a spaceship stuff, like the cinematic thing was like an eye opener for me. I was like, wow, I would love to have a Pimax to watch like animations like Henry and the Great Sea and stuff like that, because you can just see so much more of what's happening. And you're
when there's a lot of stuff happening around you as well.
Yeah, true. So that's why it's like it felt like a plus. Like, wow, usually I'm missing things.
Yeah.
But the funny part is, I felt like they went for such a wide field of view that you have like in the software of the Pimax, you have like 3 modes. You have a large field of view, medium, and then small.
Yeah.
And if you go for the different ones, there's like a very small difference between them.
Yes.
But if you put it on like small, it's still wider than a Vive or a. So
it is, and that's the thing. We had it on medium, which is roughly around 150 degrees, I think, field of view, roughly. But yeah, it does fill up your whole peripheral vision. But again, I think we all that weren't used to it, even your brother, was like, we all kind of felt a little bit weird afterwards. Like that first, exposure to VR, smooth locomotion almost, you feel a bit like disorientated. Obviously, Voodoo being the pro, and I'm sure Sebastian and Martin, Sweeviver feel the same way, and that they've been using it so much they've just acclimatized to it already. But it's just one of those things to be aware of, that you're going to have to acclimatize to another headset again. And I think for a VR newcomer, if they're going straight for this headset, they're going to feel super weird, I think, because it's going to be very strange for them.
Are you getting more motion sick because of this Pimax if you are like new to VR, or if you are experienced to it? Would it be a different experience?
I don't know.
I got 2 questions.
Yeah, sure.
Did you guys try any like first-person shooters?
Yes.
We tried Zero Caliber.
Tried Zero Caliber. We tried Doom VFR, and we tried Budget Cuts.
And are any of those games? Oh yeah, well you have played those games on the headset as well. Do you feel that you have a competitive edge using the Pimax by having a bigger field of view?
It would be interesting. I really couldn't say. I would love to know the perspective from a competitive player, because I remember we had this conversation with the guys playing Onward. At OC5 about having a competitive edge with a wider field of view headset. So I'd love them to test it. I think I really need more hands-on time with it.
I think so. Like, you have an advantage, because if you already feel the advantage in a cinematic experience, where you're like, oh wait, I can see something in my left corner.
Peripheral vision,
I'm sure that
even though it's distorted on the edges.
It's only distorted on the very edges, so you still get that wide field of view. But that's the kind of downsides. But I would say like it is more legit than a lot of the people downplaying it is. And although we sound quite negative about it, I'm actually very positive about it, and I'm happier about it than I was before I tried it.
I feel way better about it, and also performance-wise, I thought like an 8K, this is gonna be crazy for my PC, because we ran it on like a 1080 Ti, super smooth. Like, we played Budget Cuts. Budget Cuts has also had some problems. Fine, and it's running on like 80 hertz.
And Doom VFR.
Super solid.
Yeah, and Doom VFR.
And also when Voodoo arrived, he showed me how to install everything. It took like 20 minutes, and there was almost no problem. The only thing that happened was he was updating his 5K Plus, because he also brought that one, and for some reason it didn't want to work anymore.
But it was a prototype. It was like the first M1
But like
prototype.
It was pretty straightforward. Also, this Pi tool, the software they are using for this, like going from like to Steam, for example, to suddenly to Oculus Home, it all worked.
Yeah.
Like, there is no funny revive thing going on there. It's all super like straightforward.
It's pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the one thing
second question is a question I already asked, but this time about the Pimax. Is there any wobble?
It's surprising, right? Because it's very balanced. Even though it's super wide, it's very balanced, and it's a lot lighter than you anticipate it to be. It looks heavier, but it's not. It's actually quite light, and that's one of the things when you first pick it up, like, wow, this thing's actually quite light.
We did try it with the deluxe audio strap, so we didn't try it like the normal strap. I can already say that's not very good. That's like the strap the OG Vive had, just a weak strap where it's like, but people saying like, hey, when I play Beat Saber or any other games, I'm gonna like touch it all the time.
Yeah. But I will say as well with the Pro, with the bigger resolution, because we were using the 8K to compare it to the Vive Pro. The screen door effect is greatly reduced, I think, on the 8K compared to the Vive Pro. So like in terms of like screen door effect, I think it's probably better than the Odyssey Plus.
Also good to say is like, because we were asking like Voodoo how, because we weren't used to the Pimax yet. Like, does the maybe the sides make you sick? But he said it's just the the resolution in general, where it's like, oh, this is new and I see way more than really the started sides.
Yeah,
but
he said it took him about a week to acclimatize to the Pimax, but now he wouldn't go back to any other headset. So he's like truly converted.
Yeah, he was like, he was really like, if you tried this, then you don't want to go back to the other ones. But my perspective was always like, I'm trying to sell VR to consumers, to new people, and it's like, this is the future. This is where we're heading towards. But I'm not recommending this to price-wise, but also just in general, because if a game is fun, if it's immersive, it doesn't really matter what you use. If it's a Samsung Odyssey, PlayStation VR, like PlayStation VR is like really like medium and Go as well, like that's kind of like low end.
Yeah.
It's still like I'm still immersed. Like today we played Covert, I was in the game, and it doesn't matter if I have a super wide field of view or a resolution that is lower. I mean, even in my DK1 I was like immersed.
Yeah,
and there is no.
It's also probably because the steps are getting smaller. Like the step from going from 2D to virtual reality is such a huge leap forward. You put on that headset and you're actually there. But then increasing the resolution is compared to that huge step is only like a smaller step. It's still going forward, but it's not as big of a step forward as the initial impression.
What you really need is ladies touching your face, and then you're there. You know what I mean?
That is a big step forward.
Yeah.
That's a big step forward.
And on a little segue on that sort of elk is basically like we tried the like Leap Motion finger hand tracking plugin.
Oh.
So basically, like underneath the Pimax, it's got a USB-C port, and you plug in a
like
module, and Voodoo had it. It was the hand
Amazing.
tracking. It just worked. You plugged it in. We booted up Altspace.
Altspace, yeah.
And then like I was just like in Altspace chatting to people using my hands fully tracked.
Yeah.
It was like blowing their minds.
Yeah. And if you tried like the Leap on the, let's say, DK2 or the CV1 or
Just
the
as
Vive, the range of this is way bigger than the Leap Motion itself.
Yeah.
Like it's a custom Leap Motion where I was holding my hand like over here and I could still see it move perfectly. Well, if you use just the Leap, it's like, oh yeah, I need to keep them here like this.
Yeah, Nathan's absolutely right.
Extra module or
it's a different module. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a module. Like they have loads of modules planned for it, like a wireless module and Vive and Chill type module as well. But this was one of the ones that they've obviously already sent out to early testers.
But in the end, like looking at the Pimax itself, how it has been built, it's all super solid. It seems super legit as well.
Yeah.
I do wonder, that's what I said to Fudu, like if you open it, what's inside, what did they use and stuff like that, and also how long does this headset can last, stuff like that. But yeah, like I thought it was kind of I was like 50-50. I was like, plus like Fudu gave us the opportunity to try whatever we wanted. Well, when they were showing off the Pimax themselves, it was like play Fruit Ninja or whatever game, and here was like, okay, I was like budget cuts, because I just knew budget cuts was kind of like already on the edge of like, is this gonna work or not?
Yeah,
it's super nice.
And that's the thing, we were running the 8K on normal mode with budget cuts on a 1080 Ti and getting decent performance. So it is right, that you will be able to play games with that. But I would still, for me, even though I've got the higher graphics card, I'm still going to go for the 5K plus.
Yeah,
I think.
To save up some extra.
So, I guess my question to Mike, I'm curious, because you've again, having back the headset and all that, are you now excited for your purchase, as opposed to before? I felt like you were a little bit on the fence of, did I make a mistake?
I'm excited to test it more, but for me, just like Nathy said, like for us as content creators, I don't know if I'm gonna just switch to Pimax and just use the Pimax from now on. I don't think so, because it still has its other caveats. The controllers, you have to use the Vive ones. Or maybe the Knuckles when they come out, so that would be kind of interesting. But for us to sell VR to other people, like the wider field of view doesn't really matter to us. And even on a personal level, if I wasn't recording something, I wouldn't think, oh, I'm going to go and plug in a Pimax because I get that extra wider field of view just for myself. I can't see myself doing that.
A lot still depends, I guess, on like the ease of setup. For us, the ease of recording it, how quickly you're in the game, how much you need to do, like those kind of things are very important factors for people like us as well.
I think the other important factor is like what type of games you play. Like for us, we play everything. If you're just a dedicated simmer, then I think you might feel very differently about this headset. And Zim, I can see his little eyeball twitching.
You will love it,
and,
for sure.
And like if you could see that extra apex in a corner, or you're in a flight simulator and you can see like the vistas like wider, maybe that's really going to be a selling point for you. And then I would recommend it in that sense. But for me, I don't know, like for a I would say for an enthusiast gamer that just plays everything, I don't think it makes a big difference.
This is how we're going to do it, Mike. When you're done testing your headset and you've had your 5 months with it,
I can send it over.
Secondhand market.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I would, because I'd be intrigued on your opinion on it as well. But when I told that Voodoo that I was like back at 1,700, he just kind of laughed and said, "Yeah, you'll probably get yours next year then." So I don't think I'll get my hands on it anytime soon.
But it's kind of awesome. We used like one of the early prototypes, like one of the first ones that roll out of like the factory, and they were still like top notch. And I think this headset, like the look of it, it's like a hammerhead shark thing, but the lights in there, and it has kind of like a badass feel to it. Yeah. Where it's like if you're like a hardcore.
So Voodoo doesn't have the final device yet.
I don't think so. No, I don't think Voodoo has the final device yet.
Has he tried the final device?
I'm not sure.
He owns like 3, so one of them
maybe
might be a final.
But one thing he did say is that they're going to send him one of the
business ones,
the business edition ones, which has an OLED screen rather than an LCD screen. So
I would be interested in hearing like the thought of someone who has like the finalized version then.
I know a lot of people.
I mean, there could be still a lot of things changed.
There are a lot of videos out there as well of people.
Yeah, there's a very I don't know the guy's name. He was had a YouTube channel, and he was talking about his first impressions of the Pimax.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It's worth checking out because it's a very candid review. He doesn't have an investment in VR. He's just like a gamer that likes Sims. But it's very interesting to hear his thoughts on it from a Sims perspective.
Yeah, that's true.
So overall, like I'm impressed, but I also I heard so many stories and things like that, and now being able to try it yourself. But still, as you said, like everyone has a different kind of approach to it, where it's like if you were a Zim, you're like, or a Zim Racer, you're like, wow, this is what I need right now.
Did he just say a Zim Racer? Because I think he said a Zim Racer.
Like we're more all-star, we're like, okay, we play everything, and so I can't wait to get one myself, but I didn't back one, so I gotta wait a little longer.
So you're never gonna get one.
I was getting one anyway, but I just didn't back one.
Yeah. What's the price on it again for launch for the 5K?
I think it's $599.
Just for the headset.
I believe so. Yeah. And it's like $6 or $799 for the 8K now. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it was you basically saved about $200 if you backed it via Kickstarter. So you're fortunate in that sense. But obviously, you especially like me, if you backed it with the bundle with the base stations and controllers, you're not going to get those for a while. But yeah, to just confirm that the 5K Plus is $699, the 8K is $899. So sorry, it was even more expensive than I thought. Yeah. So it is quite a chunk of change there.
I mean, it still depends on when they release it. Then for like I mean, if you buy it now, when will you get it?
I would say it's going to be like fall, not fall, spring next year. I would say spring to summer next year is what you can expect.
Or even later. If you remember when the DK2 started, I mean, I had to wait 5 months for mine to show up, and that I was like one of the first ones in the UK to get it. It's like, and there was this huge backlog. I mean, that whole manufacturing cycle, if you don't if you don't factor it, it's gonna take you a long time.
Yeah. Okay, so unless you've got any other questions about the Pimax, we'll move on to Star VR.
We're good.
No? Okay, so let's talk about Star VR then, because we've talked about this headset on the show before.
Yeah, we didn't try this one, by the way.
We didn't try this one, unfortunately. Although Voodoo does want one.
That would have been nice.
And he did actually try and buy one, right?
Yeah.
And this is the kind of interesting thing, because they've recently gone up for sale. So they stated the price, and it's actually less than I thought it would be. Even though it's super expensive, still less than I thought it would be.
Same. And we thought $5,000, right?
We thought 5K, exactly. And it's 3,200 US. Which is still, like, don't get me wrong, a super expensive headset.
It's peanuts.
But this is the headset that everyone who's tried it, even the Pimax testers who have tried it have said, like, this thing is like
right now,
the top-notch Mac Daddy VR headset, the one to have. But of course, it's never designed for consumers. This is for businesses and enterprise. Yet, of course.
Or your Voodoo.
But the interesting thing is, Voodoo, obviously being a YouTuber, he wanted to buy one. he obviously earns too much
all
money.
YouTubers, of course.
Yeah, exactly. You're just throwing money at the screen. But they wouldn't accept his request. They wouldn't allow him to buy it. But they did say that they'd allow him to test one out. So that he's going to get to test one, but he can't.
What was the
buy it.
reason he got denied?
So apparently it's just for developers.
Yeah,
basically.
You need to.
I thought it was
tell
like,
them-
no, we don't sell to Germans or something.
No, you need to tell them
no.
what project you're working on,
Yeah.
and because they really want to create an ecosystem around it as well. So not some
Exactly.
people like, hey, I have a headset, here we go. No, you like really need to show what kind of potential you have to develop.
Yeah, but just bear in mind, this $3,200 that just gets you a headset. It doesn't get you any base stations. Doesn't get you any controllers. So you still need to buy Vive base stations.
If you can buy $3,200 worth of headset, then I'm sure you can spend some extra cash for some controllers and some stuff.
But they don't make their own lighthouse sensors or controllers.
They use Steam VR basically.
So hang on a second here, guys. I'm gonna do some quick math here, right? So the headset alone is $3,200 US.
Yeah.
And I am totally just searching for my calculator app because I'm not even going to do this. Yeah. But how many Oculus Go's at that discounted Black Friday price can you get?
Yeah.
Is it? Am I doing the math right here? So is it 16? Is it 16 headsets for the price of one?
16 headsets. Yes, you're right.
That's crazy.
Quick math.
How many were they again?
It's even more than that. No, it's even more than that because of the discount, right? So you probably get 18.
How many are they?
Yeah, you're probably
180.
17.
Yeah, 180.
Yeah, 180.
Right?
Yeah.
But then you have 17 of those.
It's 18, I think.
Those.
How many?
What's the answer?
See that?
It's not really coming through.
Oh yeah, 3,200 divided by 180. Yeah, go on. What's the answer?
17.7.
Yeah.
So you get like a piece of the last one.
So you nearly get 18 headsets or
Almost.
But bear in mind though, this headset's got some awesome features. It's got like built-in eye tracking that works for auto-adjusting your IPD.
That's
so
great.
That's why you can kind of see where it's built for enterprise and arcades, because it's designed to be swapped between different headsets and automatically.
Well, wait. When we say eye tracking, we don't mean real-time foveated rendering or anything like that.
You start like looking for your eyes and then.
Yeah, the eye tracking is just for auto IPD.
Eye measurement is all it really is.
You don't have, for the people, like, you just don't have to use the dial anymore. It just does it automatically.
Yeah.
I tried that with the XL. It's nice.
Which is great when it's being swapped between users that don't know what IPD is. And
it's going to be a de facto standard in future. You know that. And the reason I like seeing it in Star is because it's just going to get inherited into other devices.
Yeah. And like we mentioned before, we said that, at shows and events, I've never seen anyone adjust the IPD.
How many people played like cross-eyed VR stuff? It's great.
I always do that.
Yeah. So
turn that knob all the way down.
You're a bad man.
When I demo it to people, I still forget about it. It's like, oh, you played on my IPD. I'm sorry. And
yeah. Now you're sick. But this Star VR has a resolution of, get this, 3,660 by 1464. Both eyes.
Oh my God.
Both eyes.
What computer does it?
Like a shared resolution. So
how many GPUs do you need?
That's not each.
Dang.
So 3,660 by 1464. It's got a custom-made AMOLED display designed specifically for VR. 16 million subpixels.
What does that mean?
What?
Designed specifically for VR.
So it's not like some generic off-the-shelf Samsung phone.
And why is
panel.
that better?
I don't know. You're the scientist, Ralph.
Blacks.
That's why I'm asking it.
No, I think honestly, if you remember, so off-the-shelf Samsung equivalent panel displays is what they used in the DK1 and the DK2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then CV1 is when they came in with special panels. So because until that point, it did not make sense to custom fabricate a discrete panel.
Yeah.
I thought they might have been like curved with the lenses or something something like that.
Like I imagined it like I remember the days where Palmer Luckey had to buy broken iPhones from people to put them inside his.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But like the blacks was an issue. Like the fact that the panel was switching off and you get kind of a smearing or a ghosting in blacks. That was one of the main problems at the time. And I don't know if Nathan remembers it. Oculus did a grayscale patch that basically made all the blacks, like nice inky blacks, now all of a sudden went just kind of funky old, like dirty gray. And it fixed it. It fixed the kind of blurring, but you're like, now nothing actually looks that dark anymore.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't have that with the Star VR, because with the OLED, AMOLED, you'll get the richer sort of colors, more darker blacks.
Right.
You know, and the colors will pop more with this sort of AMOLED display. It's got a refresh rate of 90 frames per second, which is obviously pretty standard. In terms of field of view, this is where it gets crazy, because obviously the Pimax is 170 degree field of view on its widest setting, but this is 210 degrees field of view.
So that's actually, because your eyes are what, 220 or no, also 210?
Yeah, also
your eyes, I think.
So it's practically your natural eye field of view, which is insane. It's got 130 degree vertical field of view, so it's got more vertical field of view than you have horizontal field of view on a Rift.
So basically, take two Rifts, turn them sideways, glue them to your head, get another couple of PSVRs this way, and you.
That's what I said you should have done with the Pimax.
Yeah, exactly. But surprisingly enough, the minimum spec they state on the website is a 1080.
Wait, are they serious?
Yeah. Which is surprising actually for this kind of level of spec. You would have thought it would have been even higher than that. But I'd imagine really to get the best out of it, you're going to need a 1080 Ti or a 2080 or a 2080 Ti.
That's supported for like the well DK2 demo, where you can just look at the zombie and it comes out of the well.
Yeah.
What you really need.
Resolution?
It's over 5K.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to be able to drive that on 1080. What you actually need is a Bitcoin farm to drive the headset.
Yeah, exactly. We're
But
getting to that point.
it would be neat if they would like work with like some kind of technology like they do in like in the Go or something, with like the fixed foveated rendering or something like that to like keep on driving those high resolutions. For example, to have 5K in like only a small portion, and then only 1K on the edges or something.
Yeah.
Something like that, maybe it would be interesting.
The fixed foveated rendering is amazing technology, and I agree wholeheartedly, Rowdy, that if they were able to inherit that technology into this headset, you'd be able to drive it off of something like a 1080.
Well, this is the Star VR 1. They've also got the Star VR XT, which I'm not quite sure what that is, but that's still coming in the future. So maybe that's another iteration of the headset. You know, maybe it could have the dynamic foveated rendering with the eye tracking that we need for that extra performance boost on these lower end GPUs. But right now, like I said, it's not really designed for consumers anyway. It's designed for enterprise that are running probably like 5, 1080s in SLI, whatever it is, configuration that they dream up. A bit like.
But it's good that there's apparently a market for that, because eventually all that technology will trickle down to the consumer anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So this Star VR XT would have like Tobii eye tracking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Tobii.
Yeah, so that's cool. We've got some prices on that, and obviously we've got to check out those next gen headsets. Hopefully we've kind of given you enough information about those headsets so you can make an informed decision yourself whether you should go for one of these things. But certainly, I'm looking forward to testing the Pimax out more in the future for sure.
This one is also like completely Steam VR ready.
Yes, it is. Yeah, the Star VR one is. Yeah, of course. So yeah, unless you guys have got anything else you want to mention or anything else you want to say or any other questions,
I think we should just, given you guys are all there buzzing away in chat, maybe while we're reiterating the podcast times and all that, then if you have any questions, please post them in live chat. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be in the chat as well with you guys and girls answering the questions.
Not me. I'm off celebrating Thanksgiving.
That's true. That's why we're pre-recording this show. So I hope you have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you. I'm getting dragged to it, but I do want some turkey.
And also, I just want to give a shout out to Epix as well for joining us on last week's show. I actually listened to the show on the way over here whilst I was traveling, the audio version. And it was great to have him on the show and sort of listen to the show without me being there. It was kind of weird in a way.
The funny thing was that a lot of people in the chat were like confused. Like they were like, what happened to Mike? Like what is he been doing the past week,
Yeah. What's happened to him? Yeah, Epix is a super cool guy. I really appreciate him.
Yes. And he's very, very knowledgeable, especially in the virtual reality field.
Yeah.
Not only in the virtual reality field, but definitely.
He's a super knowledgeable guy in general, for sure.
And the weirdest part of it all, Mike, I was going to say, is he happens to be living in a place that my wife and I are considering moving to. Like the same exact town. It's weird. It's so weird. That's a strange.
And then you can do this. You can do this and join us in the podcast live.
Have a real life VR buddy, which I've wanted for so long now.
Exactly. So let me just give you the reminder then. So it's a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live and join us in the chat at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. And you can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. And then you can listen to it on your commute or when you're traveling to another country to visit your VR buddy and have some fun that way.
And that's all lies, because it's not 7 p.m. in Europe. It's freaking 1 a.m. and 6 minutes.
It is 1 a.m. here in Europe, which is crazy time for us. But I hope you guys and girls have enjoyed this one. Please let us know in the comments if you did. We'd love to know. And leave us a rating on iTunes, because that would really help us out as well.
Yep.
And hope you all have an awesome week in the metaverse. And until next week, we'll see you then. So bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.
Enjoy Black Friday.
Ciao, ciao.
Cheers.
Bye.